How everybody doing? Thank you for checking out the Out on Active Health Show. Today is a special day. I'm gonna be doing a collaboration with Let's Chew the Gum with Doc Kuanda. So let's get ready. Let's go through the introduction. I'm gonna get right into the topic. How you doing, Doc Kuanda? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Wonderful. I like that map behind you. You marking off the
Oh,
next your next vacation?
no, man. I actually use this map when I'm teaching, but it's interesting you say that. I have a lot of globes all over my house and actually all over my classroom when I teach, man. Because when I was growing up, I was we were poor, man. We didn't take vacations, so I would use maps and globes to travel. That's how I learned the world. I'd spin a globe around, and wherever I tapped it, that's where I was going. So I go and research the culture, the country, the food, and whatnot. And so I still have a love for maps today.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you just visualizing seeing if you did arrive there. Like it just you could wonder about it, just seeing it in your head, visualizing it. Like that's powerful.
Yeah, man, it helped me to travel the world and learn, like I said, all about different cultures, man. And so I can sit and look at maps all day. I still collect globes, like I said, man. I'm intrigued by that type of thing.
All right. I want to talk to you today about your media company as well as your podcast. Because today we're doing a collaboration. But I want you to tell the audience first who you are, where you're from, and we're going to get into your media company and your show.
Oh, sure, man. So, yeah, my name is Dr. Tayari Kuanda. I go by Dr. K in some circles. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I have to say that loud and proud. Although I live in
Okay.
California now, I'm a Michigan native, proud Detroit native, man. But I live in California. Um, that's my background, man. Detroit, all through and through.
All right. Let's talk about uh your company as well as Let's Chew the Gum. OnWatch TV. And
Yeah,
why
yeah.
you
So
started that.
absolutely. So I started my podcast some years back. I'm on season 5 right now. We just released, just started season 5, released a new episode. So Let's Chew the Gum, man. It's a podcast where, you know, my mantra is we talk about everything from A to Z while we chew the gum. And a lot of people often ask, why is it called Let's Chew the Gum? And basically, man, I was driving down to the university one day, preparing for the lecture, and I was chewing gum. And I like to chew gum. It gives me focus. It helps me to regulate my breathing, and I can kind of focus in, concentrate. So whether I'm playing sports or whatever, I tend to, you know, engage in that. Anyway, when I started doing my lecture for that evening, I didn't realize had not taken the gum out my mouth, and I'm still chewing. The lecture was going on, and so the saying is you aren't supposed to chew gum and talk. So about halfway through the lecture, I realized that I'm saying, "Oh, excuse me." So I'm taking out the gum and I'm telling the students, I apologize. I forgot I was chewing gum. But they were all like, no, it's okay. They were like, we were into it. The lecture's going well. We don't mind. I said, okay, well then let's chew the gum. I popped it back in and started, continuing on. And so that's where the name comes from. So let's chew the gum is sort of like, people will say, let's chew the fat. It just means let's talk. And so that's what we do, man. So it's been great, man. The podcast, I started it just as a way to communicate with individuals, man, about various topics. Sometimes there'd be a topic I can't necessarily discuss at the high school level, or maybe I didn't get a chance to discuss it at the university or whatever. It could be a current event. So it's a variety talk show type of podcast. We have shows about the history of music. We have other types of art, politics, current events, issues that people face in school. So there's a variety of topics. I'm always inviting listeners and audience members to send in topics that they may want to hear about, or if they want to be a guest on the show. So that's been going pretty well, man. I'm loving it, man. The response from all over the world has been great, man. So like I said, we just started season 5. I think that's about the 60 something episode, and so that's been going pretty well, man.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you got to be consistent with that going into season 5, all those topics. But yeah, sometimes you got to talk about things. That's the only way you're gonna learn. Bring in like new content or just hear somebody else's perspective. So I think that's amazing. Talking about the wide variety of issues that you do talk about on Let's Chew the Gum. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the way you came up with that name. Just out in the school, forgot you was chewing it. Your students didn't mind, so then you like, I guess I don't mind either.
That's
Let's
right.
chew the gum.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All
Absolutely.
right, let's. What about your OnWatch TV?
Oh man, OnWatch TV is a streaming service on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Again, OnWatch TV. Hopefully, you have Roku and Amazon Fire TV. We just expanded to another platform called Vita, which is in
That's
another
amazing.
168 countries. And it's a new company for me, man. It actually started. I don't want to say haphazardly, but it wasn't something that I was looking to do. What happened was during the pandemic, when it first hit 2020, I was teaching seniors in high school, and I had other students that were going to graduate with their master's degree at the university. But it started with my seniors. So school was ending. It was done. It was over with. And they were kind of sad, as you can imagine. Their high school just careers at an end. No prom, no graduation. It's over. And during the last days, I was telling them, I said, I'll do something for you to, try to, bring some light to your senior year to make it special. And my students would always ask me to freestyle rap, man, because I grew up in that era, in that genre. I would always freestyle across the country, battle rap. So they would, they heard that I did that, and so I told them, I said, okay, I'll do a freestyle for you, because all year I wouldn't do it. I stopped, freestyling, because sometimes you say bad words, but I decided I was going to do that. And so a day or so went by. I ended up doing a freestyle rap for them. But while I was doing it, or after I did it, I realized, I said, man, it's not just my seniors that are not graduating. It's all the seniors in the city, in the state, and I'm like, the country, the world, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, it's not just seniors in high school. Eighth grade graduations, even kindergartners. They have the graduation. They don't know so much about it, but the parents, prepare for that day. And I started thinking about, students at the university at various levels, people in 12-step programs, all types of people graduating. And I thought, man, I want to expand this thing. Maybe there's something I can do for others. So I started out of my sleep one night. The phrase InstaGrad came up in my mind. InstaGrad, because they instantly graduated. It's over. InstaGrad. So I started a program called InstaGrad 2020 to celebrate the 2020 graduates who would not have the opportunity to cross the stage. And I started selling merchandise to raise money. I was going to do scholarships for them. So T-shirts, mugs, blankets, just about anything that I could put InstaGrad logo on, InstaGrad 2020 logo on, I sold to raise money for scholarships. And then I started an event where I think it started in May, where I did a mock graduation. I put on my doctoral regalia, cap and gown, and the whole nine. I invited people from across the country to send in names of graduates, and I was going to, shout them out online on Facebook Live, Instagram Live. That'd be, just a little thing for people to get together. And I got a great response, man, from people all across the country and around the world. So we had that event. I put on the pomp and circumstance, which is the graduation music you hear, and started shouting out people's names. Gave away gifts and prizes that night, food certificates, gift certificates, some merchandise, T-shirts. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this every month for the whole year on the 20th. So every month on the 20th of the month, we had some event. We did, like I said, giveaways. We had games where people got on and played games. We had a costume competition for Halloween. We had different themes each month, and I was always shouting out new graduates. If students saw me in town in my truck with the InstaGrad logo, because I got the magnet on the truck, they saw me and they were a graduate, they got a T-shirt. So I always carried around a trunk full of T-shirts of all sizes with the InstaGrad. And so they'd see me, they got a free T-shirt. We take pictures and put them up on the Instagram page for InstaGrad 2020. And man, it was just a way to give back, man, to bring a little bit of light to everybody during that 2020 year. It was devastating for a lot of people. And yeah, we did it all year, man. Ended up giving away 7 scholarships at the end of the year. gave away so much, and like I said, gift cards, food cards. No matter what city you was in, I found some people that would partner up with me, and a lot of it came out of my pocket. I think most of it, but that was okay, man. And people won money, and it was a lot of fun, man. We had a breakout room online, so it was good. But anyway, someone heard about it, and they offered me to put the InstaGrad. We're making a documentary at the end of the year to put that on television. And then I was offered to an opportunity to have my own TV channel. And so that was in 2020. And so I thought, pretty interesting, not something I was thinking about, but I went for it. So I, went through all the process of paying the fees and the startup and all that. And I actually had the channel for about a year before I put anything on it, because for me, it was like, a responsibility, just like teaching. If I'm in front of an audience, I'm responsible for the information I put out and the direction and the way that I inspire people, or not inspire, but the information I put out, I'm responsible. So I had that same approach about the television channel. Like, what am I going to put on there? What are people going to see? Who's going to watch? What information do I want to put out? And so I made up my mind. I thought, okay, I know some people with content, and I only had two parameters, man, and they still remain. The only thing you won't see on OnWatch TV, you won't see ratchetness, man, whatever that means to anyone. It's not going to be twerking and dropping it low and all that. That's all fine and whatnot. Do your thing, people, wherever you are. But there's a lot of channels where you can see that. I was just like, that's just not what I want on my channel. And you're not going to see anybody demeaning other cultures, right? That was important to me. You don't have to put down somebody else to lift yourself up. Other than that, man, it's pretty wide open. So on the channel, we have a variety of content, from documentaries to films to shorts to lifestyle. We got nice videos of drone shots. Just, you may be going up the coast or whatever. There are some opportunities I've made for students who are film students who it's their very first film, very first project. And it's a way for me to be able to give back and allow people to have an opportunity to be on television, who normally wouldn't be or couldn't be, whether it's because they couldn't afford it, they never imagined that they could, or maybe they don't want to deal with the Hollywood types. So it's been pretty good, man. It's still growing. There's a lot more to come on the channel. And so when I did that, I decided, man, I have this channel. I need to, be a little bit more involved. So I went and re-enrolled in film school, man, just because I want to know, the various aspects of this business. So I enrolled in the NYU film school program, went out and invested in camera equipment and learned about, cameras and audio and whatnot. So now it's a full service production company where, we go out and film, items for other folks. And sometimes we film and it doesn't go on the channel, but it helps to support the channel. And then we produce our own projects for the channel as well, man.
Let's hold on for a second. I don't want this to go over the head of my audience. So I like what you did. So you started with something out the kindness of your heart, then it resulted in another opportunity, you didn't expect or you wasn't trying to get. And then also you didn't know what you were doing, but you didn't stop. You just continued to grind, and then you went to school to learn it more and just gain that knowledge so you can be better at that craft. And now you're giving back and bringing the people on who you taught, or just students who need to find an opening, because sometimes it's hard to get that chance. So I just wanted to elaborate on that. That's amazing.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, it is amazing, man. And that's sort of the way I approach life, man. Anytime, whether I've been in different programs to get various degrees in college or whatnot, it's always been about, bringing along as many people as I could and helping others along the way, which helps me. That inspires me, man. So anything I'm involved in, I'm always looking out for other folks, man. I've been, at the, I don't want to say the bottom, but, growing up in Detroit and then South Central Los Angeles, man, I ended up being homeless in high school, having to go through that struggle. So I've been impoverished. I know what it's like to, have good intentions, to be intelligent, but not have a break, but not have an outlet, man. So I'm always cognizant of that.
Oh yeah, I was looking into that when you said you dropped out a little bit. You're homeless, not dropped out, but then you also worked at a nightclub.
Oh yeah, you did some research.
Yeah, a little bit. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. So yeah, man. So when I was homeless in high school, man, I Hell, I was homeless. I slept where I could sleep on a couch here, a couch there. Sometimes on a bus, wash up in gas stations. Sometimes I'm staying at some friend's house if I can, or some woman's house, God forbid. Whatever I needed to do to survive. I'm struggling trying to make it. And I found out that there was this club that that didn't really check for our IDs when they hired people. They just needed people to work. And I was 17, but I kind of looked older. I definitely carried myself older. And so I ended up getting this job at a nightclub as a bar back. You're prepping the bar and serving tables, busting tables, whatever you had to do. And that's what I did, man. I worked in this nightclub. I played football until I couldn't anymore, and I went to school. And that whole experience taught me a lot, man. It forced me to grow up, even before then, being 15, leaving Detroit and coming to Los Angeles and having to look out for mother and sister. But it taught me a lot about, handling business, being responsible, and taking care of myself and others. But I was going to say, with that whole experience in the nightclub, man, it was rough. Not the nightclub itself, but the homelessness that went along with it. So my schedule pretty much was, and I've told folks this before, I go to school from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, football practice from 3:30 to 5:30, nightclub from 6 o'clock till, closes at 2, but we wouldn't get off till maybe 3:15 because we're cleaning up after everything. Then back to school at 8 o'clock. So that was my cycle every day, man. And so you can see there's not much wiggle room. There's not much time for rest. And I'm dealing with homelessness and being a teenager trying to discover myself and life or whatever. I used to fall asleep, man, every day in first period. I was falling asleep, man. And it was a physics class. I wasn't having time to study and whatnot. But the thing that bothered me about it was the way some people approached me or looked at me. Some people looked at me and the narrative was I was lazy. I didn't care. I was apathetic, didn't care about school, just another statistic, lazy inner city Black kid. But you can see again from the story I explained to you that wasn't the case. I'm here despite my life, homelessness, the temptation to drugs and gangs and all that, you find in inner cities. I'm still there showing up. But nobody ever asked me, was I okay? They just made that assumption, man. So to that end, if I could jump ahead, I don't mind going back talking about any of the stories, but to that end, recently, just last fall, I started a nonprofit called SCORE, which stands for Securing Communities of Racial Equity. And it's all about intervening in communities where the dangers and the ills of racism kind of spring up, whether that's, intracultural or intercultural racism, about training and talking to people, resolving issues so that we can have better communities. But one of the things I did with that was started a scholarship for struggling students because, I was struggling at the time. And most students that struggle in high school with bad GPAs, they never, I don't want to say they never, but it's usually they don't have an opportunity for scholarships. They get overlooked like I was overlooked. I was a smart kid, man. I read at a 12th grade level when I was in the 4th grade. I was pretty smart, but my circumstances, were such that, this was what they were. So my GPA was dropping, right? So I'm very capable, very knowledgeable, probably could run circles around all these other kids when it came to living real life or just, achieving academically, right? But I didn't get that recognition. So I noticed in my classes, in the high school classes, when scholarships are announced, a lot of kids don't even look up because they know they don't qualify, right? But I see them as capable and I know that they can do it. So this scholarship I started is an incentive scholarship, an engagement and an incentive scholarship. First of all, you have to have wait for it, let me get a drum roll. You have to have a 1.5 GPA to qualify, 1.5 or lower. Oh, wow. So we're talking about students with D+ and students that are failing, right? And, when I first told it to a few of my colleagues at the university, high school, whatever, they thought I was rewarding failure. Why are you going to give students who are failing, money and scholarships, right? And I'm thinking, the students with 3.0s and 4.0s, that's great. They should be recognized, but they're always the ones that are targeted for scholarships. But then I did here. Well,
before you continue, so with that 1.5, are you trying to look for those students that it's because of their environment, family issues, money issues, or because their time management? So now you're trying to get them incentive to get some extra get that scholarship so they can at least have an opportunity.
You get it. That's exactly right. The idea is to say, hey, I see you, I recognize you, and I understand that, a lot of people will associate bad grades with bad behavior. And I'm like, that's not necessarily it. It's just the things you said. It could be their environment, upbringing, things beyond their control, but they're still kids. So the idea is to say, hey, you can enter this scholarship. There are 9 ways you can enter, right? Everybody doesn't write essays well. So, you can write an essay, but you can also do a podcast episode. You can do a community action event, an original song or spoken word, or original film, short film. There are a couple of other ways you can get in, and you answer a prompt. I think this year's prompt was, how can teaching or learning about Black history be beneficial for everyone, right? So they do that. They win scholarship. They get half of it right there. The other half they get at the end of the year if they have no Fs, right? So that's the engagement is, hey, you see me, you recognize me, I'm going for this money, but now I see I can do it, right? I'm recognized for what I did. And at the end of the year, now I have no more Fs. I got the rest of the money that helps me in my situation or my family. And now that I know that I can do it, I have that evidence, I have that confidence. Now, hopefully the idea is that they move on and they come back the next school year with that same understanding that despite my situations, despite my depression, despite all the naysayers, I did something, I accomplished something, I was recognized and rewarded, and I'm going to continue on, right? So that's the idea behind that scholarship.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I read it from a book, a study where they had a classroom of students. You had maybe like 4 kids who had like straight A's the previous year, and another 4 who was below average. So they all gave them a test, but the scores got mixed up. So the ones who had below average, they got the score of 100, and the ones who were really smart got below average. But since they thought they were smart, they felt like they had to keep that momentum. Like now they had something to strive for. So I'm like, yeah, it's all about momentum. So like you're saying, like if you give them that money, the incentive, and now they see they can measure themselves. Oh, I can actually do this, and also the money incentive.
Absolutely. There's other studies like that where teachers were given a list of students, a group of students, and the teachers were told which students were excelling academically and which ones were not, right? But the students that the teachers thought were the academic excellent ones were actually the ones who struggled. But what the study showed is that the teachers spent more time, engaged more, and invested more in those students that they thought had the propensity for academic excellence. And so these were the regular, basic, low-level students, but the attention and the interventions they got from the teacher helped those students to propel, man. So, it's a lot about engagement, man. My doctorate degree is in educational leadership for social justice. And a lot of components of that revolve around how we engage students, the relationships we have in the classroom, how we make our classroom spaces that are open for everyone, and how we influence our staff and colleagues and school districts, et cetera, to make schools a place where it's accessible for everyone, for all students, man. So I'm always here for that. I'm always, my compass, my guide is always about, student engagement and developing communities and tackling those problems that would limit, the advancement or the potential that our students and communities have.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like you have to assess it, and so they can grow. Like it's all about giving value to other people, even if they can't see it within themselves. Like I'm all for personal development. That's what I take pride in, trying to help people in that aspect. Because you can't outgrow yourself. Sorry, what you're saying?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah. I'm just saying personal development like really important to me. So I think that's amazing what you're doing, because you can't outgrow yourself. What the work you're willing to put in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, it gives me purpose, man. And it's not something, it's something that I've just always been about, man. I think that was, born into me even as a child. I was in 5th grade. I made my money by being the tutor in the neighborhood. I got to go around and tutor kids. I make my $5 a week. That was a lot, for, 9 and 10-year-old, back in the day. But it's always been about that, and I think that comes from my family. My parents, man, were always service oriented. It was never just enough for you. And I even in the way that I vote, I'm always looking and thinking, how does this help students? Because if students are doing all right, I'm secure in whatever the future might be. If we don't know what happens in the future, but if students are doing okay, I'm feeling better about that. And I'm also looking at my neighbors, man. If I'm just all about me, I'm a target. If my neighbors aren't doing well, then it's a threat to me in my personal space. But if your neighbors are doing well, man, what reason do they have to have issues, with you, or what reasons do you have to have issues in your community? And so a lot of this, ideas of community development is about looking out for other people, making sure they're okay. Especially those that don't have the know-how to do for themselves, or haven't had the experience of, having evidence that what they thought was impossible can happen. And so again, that same philosophy comes through in my teaching, my podcast, the television channel. It's just who I am.
Quick question. Where do you see your podcast as well as your television channel in 5 years? Like, well, what are your goals for that?
You know what, man? I've always said, as much as I am loving what I do with the television channel and the podcast, I don't think it's from a standpoint of being ambitious. Like, I want to be, making this much money or in this many countries. It's really about, what other people can gain from it. As long as it's assisting others. I may, have, I don't know how many viewers, but it's really about who it reaches. I'm not about so much what it reaches, but who does it reach? Who does it help? If it's up to me, obviously, I want it to be relevant. I want it to be successful in terms of that it exists. Money, there's no figure I have in this many years with the channel. I want to make this money. They always have been from a place where, if you put in good work, you do the work, money's going to come. That money is the byproduct for me. It's never been like the motivation. Of course, we need money to do this, that, or the other, to manipulate and navigate in this particular society, right? But just like with teaching, I've always said, man, if I could do it for free, I would, because I love it that much. It's just what I do. And it's the same with the channel. I hope it is successful. I hope it makes millions of dollars, because that means there's more people that I can help. That means that it's doing what it's supposed to do. With the podcast, it's really just about having a voice and, again, a space and an opportunity. I hope they are massively successful financially. That just means that there's more people that I can help. If they're around and it's not a financial success, it's still a success for me, because it's an idea that came up, it's something that has been sustained. And no matter what, that's something that I did. And with the help of a lot of people. Nobody does anything by themselves, but it's something that was done, right? It wasn't an idea that you thought about and said, I wonder, what it could be. I never want to have that aspect. Like, I wonder what would have happened. So just the fact of having an idea, putting some effort into it and making it happen, no one can measure that success. That's sort of an intrinsic reward for me.
That's me. I agree. Like, just for myself, my show, I just want to measure it and how much value I can give to people. Like, motivating them, inspiring them, and making them want to change for the better of themselves.
Yeah,
But also, so I want to get into, I like to do a little round for the I don't active health show, a little lightning round. So I'm gonna ask you like 4 questions. So my first question is, what is your purpose in this life? In your opinion?
My purpose in this life, man, really is to serve others. First and foremost, family, man, but to serve others. That's how I see it. To serve others.
Serve others. Okay, I respect that. All right, my second question. So I ask these questions because I'm a health coach, and it's kind of health oriented. So purpose is like, I feel like spiritually, you got to have like something, or you just fall for anything. If you don't have that thing, that's going to keep you aligned with your goal. So that's why I asked you that. My second question is, what are some ways you lower your anxiety? Because sometimes the world might get in the way, COVID, everything, then our stress levels go up. Like, what are some things you do to lower that so you can be in tune with yourself?
You know what? I was just telling a group of students earlier, they were kind of stressed out, and I was sharing with them, I do a lot of meditation, man. Even within when I have just a few minutes, I've come to a point where I can just shut it down, get some control over my respiratory system, over my breathing, sort of have what some people might call an out of body experience. I'm here physically, but my mind, I might be on an island. There's a cool breeze, and I'm just within myself. Sometimes I'm compartmentalizing. I'm unpacking everything that I have to do because it can be overwhelming. There's a lot, and so if I'm thinking about everything constantly, I'm overindulged, right, and overwhelmed. So I just process. So a lot of mental breaks throughout the day. I'll take 3 or 4, 5, 6 quick power naps throughout the day. It sometimes, like I said, just could be a couple of minutes. I might be at the stoplight. It could be just for a few seconds. So I tend to do that, man, and so that's the way that I avoid stress. And then having some hobbies, engaging in different hobbies, man, and really just understanding. I have people will ask how you're doing, and I'll tell people, I'm always saying I'm all right. Right now I have this little injury I had because I slipped at work, but I'm still all right. And what I mean by that is things could always be better, right? It could always be better. More money, more this, more that, better this, better that. But then things can always be worse. And I've had some bad situations in life, whether, loss of family or being shot or shot at or, just whatever, homelessness. So it could always be better, right? It could always be worse. And I'm right here in the middle. So I'm good right there where I am. I'm breathing. I'm alive. That means I have an opportunity. So that's where I'm at.
That's an amazing answer. I like to meditate myself. I like to tell my audience meditate or just be grateful. Like if your anxiety's up, you're going through bad, you should be grateful. Like think about what you do have or what you have accomplished. So now it just minimizes it. Or like you said, your thought of at the beach, because like now our body's in a situation, but our thought is somewhere else. So now our body is just gonna we're gonna try to connect with it.
Yeah.
So can line closer. So my third question. So this is about the body. So what are some workouts you like to do to stimulate your mind and your body, such as working, lifting weights, playing basketball, jogging?
Yeah. So I like to get a big plate of food, and I work out 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
No, man, I love all those things. I'm very conscious that the body needs to be exercised, man. And to be honest, I'm not as active as I once was. But I'm definitely appreciating it. And so but I like to go for walks. I like to go for brisk walks. I do like to run. I never like to run for the sake of running. Even in high school, someone said, just let's go running. I'm like, for what? But play football, I'll play all day, running up and down the
Yeah.
field, basketball up and down the court. But just for the sake of running, man, even in the military, that was a struggle for me. I got through it and can do it. But yeah, I'm definitely cognizant, man, of that. I'm glad you brought that up because now I have a note to self to say, hey, man, get back in gear, exercise that, you want to stay as healthy as possible. I've had this thing over the past few years, and there's a reason I'm answering it that way. I've attempted various workout regimens and plans and whatnot. But man, I've had some injuries, been banged up a little bit to where I've had to modify. So, my son is actually a certified trainer. And so he's always, in my ear, giving me information about the body and the way things work. He's phenomenal, man. Aside from being a classically trained pianist, so I look to him for a lot of that guidance, man. He's a good dude too. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go home today and put a plan into effect, and then you be sure to follow up with me to make sure I follow through on this physical
Yeah.
fitness.
Of course. That's what I do best, especially in
All
the
right,
military. I do that with all my coworkers.
that's
Breathing,
what's up.
exercising, it's helping them with their nutrition, um, their workouts, all of it. But all right, my last question is, what are some foods you like to eat to stimulate your mind and your body? Like things that give you energy rather than take away energy. Because sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like if we're eating soul food, we'll go to sleep because it's taking energy
Oh yeah,
from you. So now
oh
you're
yeah,
knocked out.
yeah. Man, I like to run lean. I don't like to eat heavy breakfasts, man. So in the morning when I get up, I like to get some juice. Like I need some fruit in the morning and maybe some grains, sustain you through the day, like some whole oatmeal, whole whole foods, things like that. So that's sort of my morning routine. You know, if I eat too much of certain, you know, things in the morning, I'm slow and I'm sluggish. So very light in the morning. And then I pretty much, man, I'm eating very healthy foods, man. A lot of what do you call it? Foods with the essential vitamins, food that have energy. You know, I want to get to this point where all the food I eat is alive. You know, because from the living food, it brings life to me. But the thing I focus on the most, man, that's most important to me, like I said, is a breakfast that gets me energized. You know, full of vitamins, nutrients, whole grains, and I tend to sustain myself through that way. I got a sweet tooth all the time, and I like sweets, man. So you know, those things stimulate me. They're not the best though, man. That's the thing. So even with that, you know, I'm trying to do the best I can to make sure, even, you know, if it's something sweet, maybe I'll have a handful of raisins instead of the pastry, you know. So I'm glad you asked that too, because now I'm gonna be more cognizant of that as well.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Like, be more conscious of it instead of just letting your subconscious run wild. That's what I try to tell people too when I talk to my clients. Like, if they ask me, why should I eat whole wheat rather than white? And sometimes I just tell them because it has no fiber in it and it's just bleach and it's not good for you. Like, it tastes good because it don't have that
Right.
fiber in it, but you got to look at the pros and the cons, and I try to align their goals with it and where they want to be ideally. And if
Absolutely.
eating this is going to make them reach that goal or the ideal body weight they want to be,
Absolutely.
or uh, if they're trying to be an example for someone, you want to be doing the right thing so they can see these and they can have the right make the right habits. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah, I'll link up with you on that too. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on this show, this collaboration between us, of the Iron Active Health Show, and let's chew the gum. So I appreciate it, Doc Kwanda. It was amazing. I had fun learning about you. We're gonna have to talk more about your military experience the next time we collaborate.
Oh man, I got stories among stories, man. I'm happy to come on anytime, man. And it was definitely a pleasure to be on the show. Can't wait to, you know, air this episode on my show and then have you come on so I can flip the table and ask you some more questions, man. I very much appreciate you.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm very transparent, but yeah, I want to say thank you to my audience for checking in, and y'all have a great day. I'm grateful to have y'all here watching. Yeah, y'all have a good one.
Peace, people.